it may be the one class in the country more so than any other that ranking is going to mean a whole lot more in February than it does this Wednesday or
Yeah,
Thursday.
I agree, Mark. I will say this because I've been hitting this home for a long time. I would like to hear your viewpoint because it's truly starting to get to a point for me. This star rating system, how much weight do you put into something like that, Mark? How much does it matter to you that the young man that's coming in as a 4 or 5 star recruit compared to a 2 or 3 star recruit? And in your time of studying the game, has that really made a big difference?
Well, I think it's like a lot of things in life that where there's a mass industry of something, I think the overall numbers matter. I think there's a direct correlation between how good these classes are nationally ranked versus how good the programs are. And we talk about the outliers once in a while. Wisconsin outplays its recruiting ranking and has for 25 or 30 years. Michigan State has in its better days under Mark Antonio. Kansas State did when they were playing their best football under Bill Snyder. And then on the opposite end, Texas is the classic case of underachieving its recruiting ranking. I see that Steve Sarkisian has a seventh ranked class right now. Well, they've stacked top 5 to 10 classes for the last 10 years. And they haven't done anything. So
Mhm.
besides those outliers, the class rankings have been pretty accurate to how good the teams have been on the field. Now, when you're talking about specific players, though, we can go through the 5 stars from every class over the last 10 years. We can find dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of busts, tons
Yep.
of them, tons
Mhm.
of them. We can
Mhm.
go to the 3 stars, even the 2 stars, and find all conference players.
I like to ask that question because, Mark, whether it's Cam Underwood that has his spot, whether it's Paul from Paul Scoop on you, whether insert name here, we've all had this spot at one point, and we continue to tell this Miami Hurricanes fan base, we gotta get past the Ray Lewis wasn't an immediate guy. The Ed Reed was a 2 star. We gotta get past that stuff. Yes, I understand it was a part of our past. And even for the people who are anywhere from the age of like 33 to 40, that was your reality. It is not that anymore. Okay? We can't, and I don't like attacking specific young men, but it's a valid argument. We can't keep rolling out with the 3 star U moniker and think we're going to win national championships. It doesn't work that way anymore. And the funny part is, Mark, they're only able to name like 2 or 3 people. Yeah, 2 or 3 people who's surrounded by the best of the best. Think of the best players that have come through Miami. Sean Taylor, he was arguably the number 1 player in the country. He was Mr. Florida. Okay, 5 star recruit. Clinton Portis. Santana Moss, now you could argue Santana, the cousin, he was a 3 star, or they found him as far as a speedster and a track and field kind of guy and brought him over. Okay, cool. You look at Philip Buchanan, he was a highly rated young man. Jonathan Vilma was a 4 star, highly rated. Dan Morgan, borderline 5 star. Okay, Jesse Armstead, they didn't even have those kind of people anymore. DJ Williams was a like these are big time names, and you saw what they brought to the table. Hell, I'll even bring it to you closer. You saw how Greg Rousseau, 3 star recruit, saw his production. Yes, he had those 15 and a half. You could have the argument that Jalen Phillips, a 5 star, almost 2 years removed from playing a true down of football. When he stepped on the field, you saw a difference. It's just that simple. It's it's hard to argue. This man just said Sean Taylor was a 2 star. Oh God. This is the kind of stuff we deal with, Mark. Sean Taylor was not a two-star recruit. He went to Gulliver Prep. He was the number one safety in the country. He was the best player in arguably one of the best football states in the country, sir. I have to ask you, Mark, because you're an impartial party. Okay, you understand the difference, and it's so hard to get people who don't want to understand. I guess that's it. If you don't want to understand, you won't. And they might just be trolling just to troll because they know I'm gonna flip. But it gets me, Mark, because if you want to change the program, of course, the coaching, the culture, the foundation, I get all of that. Yes, I'm with you. But you also need the Jimmies and the Joes, man. You need those guys. All right. You think about how different the program looks. If you got Evan Neal, five-star offensive tackle at left tackle, instead of Zion Nelson, a two-star recruit. Think if we have, let's say we have Trevor Lawrence as our quarterback instead of Malik Rozier, who was a three-star. This is, yes, there are anomalies. That is obvious.
Sure.
But that's why they're different. They're spurts. It's an anomaly. It's not the norm. It's abnormal. It's not normal. Okay. If you have 22 players on the roster, obviously all 22 can't be five stars. That's just, come on, we're not Bama. That's not going to happen. Okay. But 18 or 19 of them should be 4 or 5 star if you want to be in a national championship conversation. You could have 3 or 4 of them who are your 3-star standouts, a 3-star speedster wide receiver who can fly, a 3-star strong safety you fell in love with. One that comes to mind, Jaquan Johnson. Wasn't fast, wasn't tall, wasn't the strongest, but he was a great football player and had a really nice career here in Miami. He was a 3-star for the longest before he got his bump up to a 4-star. And you're talking about a young man who was a four-time all-Dade County prospect from freshman all the way to a senior. It happens, man. That's why, Mark, I just had to ask you that because I want to hear your viewpoint on it because it gets tiresome having to listen to it. It really does, man.
Well, it's just obvious. It's obvious. We all know who's winning games and conference championships and competing in the playoff nearly every year. And then we know how the tiers go from there. And all you have to do is pull up the national recruiting rankings, look at them for 2021, then pull them up for 20, pull them up for 19, pull them up for 18. The 4 or 5 that you're going to see up at the top are always up at the top. Then you're going to see another layer under them that are pretty much filling that tier, and it pretty much goes from there. And it's going to be the same as what you're going to see when you look at the top 10 rankings on the field at the end of the year.
Oh my God, this man just said Ja'Cory Harris was a 5-star. Oh my God. I'm telling you, Mark, I really think they do this because they know when I get in this mood, I'm gonna respond.
even if they were right, they're still bringing up one player. Think of it this way, folks. There are 130 FBS teams.
Yeah.
The average class is going to be around 20. That's 2,600 players. It's almost 3,000 players that are going to sign in the FBS. 65 Power 5. You're going to have 1,300 that are going to sign Power 5 scholarships.
Yeah.
1,300 players. Yes, you can. JJ Watt was a 2-star. We can go all over the place. Tom Brady was a 6th rounder. That doesn't mean you necessarily want to select your franchise quarterback in the 6th round because nobody else was drafted in the 6th round that's doing that.
And like I said, Mark, I get it because there's certain people at the end of the day, you can't change their mind. They're going to see what they want to see. We bring up 5 stars, they're going to argue about 5-star busts. You're going to argue 3-star, 3-star, 3-star. And I get it, man. And that's what we're saying. Like everyone is going to have busts. That we're not saying that every 5-star is the first round draft pick. But I mean, we got John Garvin coming off the edge. Imagine if that's Chase Young. How different that looks. Okay. We got Trent Harris. What if that Trent Harris, good player, good player. Olivier Vernon, one of my personal heroes growing up from my hometown of Hialeah, Miami Lakes, went to my high school, American Senior High School in Dade County. Okay, he was a 3-star, 4-star kind of prospect. Yeah. Went to Miami, played 10, 11 years in the National Football League. Yeah, Joey Bosa was in that same recruiting class. You know where Joey Bosa went? Ohio State. Arguably a college football Hall of Famer. First top 10 pick. Yeah, I'm just saying, from around the way, Fort Lauderdale. That's the difference. That's what I'm trying to say. And I get it. You're going to argue either way. We could be here for hours trying to go back and forth to try to explain. Again, people see what they want to see. I want our fan base to understand the more important thing is the culture and the coaching and building a great program. That's how you get the foundation. But then you got to springboard into going on a different level of recruiting and then matching those things together and being able to create great competition with those big time prospects on the practice field of Green Tree practice and in the Carroll Center. That's how you do it. And it's not a 2-year thing. I'm talking about a three-year thing, a 4-year thing. It's going to be out there a little bit, but it'll take time. I think the Miami Hurricanes administration is going to give Coach Cristobal every way possible to succeed. It might take a little bit, but they're going to do it, and they're going to swing for the fences. We got to do it, man. We gotta change the roster if we want to be there with the big boys. If we want to be playing in January, we got to stack the roster. And we don't have to be 3-star U and day 3 U and brag about developing guys who were 3 stars into the 4th round draft pick. No. What we need to do is to stack that cupboard and getting the big guys here to come to Miami and start filling the 1st and the 2nd round with Miami Hurricanes. That's how you get it done.
Because as impressed as both of us are with the program at Wisconsin, and I think we are, I think we share
Absolutely.
that. Understand,
and Iowa. Folks, that's the other place I really like who does that.
But understand that they are developing players about as well as you can. Nobody's perfect, of course, but about as well as you can. But understand, Miami fans, you don't want to be Wisconsin or Iowa long term. You would like to be them maybe right this second, but you don't want to be them long term. Wisconsin, for as well as they're doing and for as great a football program as they haven't made a playoff. They haven't won the Big Ten in 10 years. Iowa hasn't won the Big Ten in 20 years. Whoa. So they're not winning the conference. They're good. They're finishing in the top 15 in the country. Mm-hmm. They can't get past Ohio State or whoever's hot that year in the Big Ten. They don't get past them. So they're doing as well as they can with the players that they can get.
Absolutely. You know, one that's also very similar in that instance in our own conference, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is one of those heavily developing programs. You know, they signed 2 5-stars in my recruiting class 2014. They had a 5-star safety and a 5-star defensive tackle, which was the first time since like Mike Vick and Marcus Vick that they landed these big time recruits. Those guys flamed out. You know, it's just, I believe certain programs, that's just not their MO. You know, their thing is, I don't even think Wisconsin is known as like O-line U, and they don't even land 5-star offensive linemen. And I think that's just because that's not their bread and butter. They want the dairy farm 3 star, similar to what what I do here. They want that kind of stuff to they can build you. They can put you in a red shirt program. They can get you in a weight room program. Heck, they may even gray shirt you, and you don't start until year 4, year 5. But by the time you go out there, you're a big time prospect ready to get after it, and you're gonna go make millions in the NFL. That's just how it works at certain programs like that. Miami, we don't have to do that. So why? Why force yourself to have to do that to beat your chest about being these great developers when you could just go get the big time recruit? And if he doesn't pick you, he doesn't pick you. But not going after him because you don't think that they're going to come here, or not going after them because you think, oh, they're going to come here anyway. His dad would here. That's not how it works. And I'm happy we no longer have a coach that does that kind of stuff.
Maybe people are thinking that because Miami's generally recruiting higher ranked classes than, let's say, Wisconsin, and they are developing them to the hilt. Miami's actually letting them, with the lack of coaching they've had for the last 10 to 15 years, allowing those players to regress. Yeah, they're going the other way.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out many times, 4 and 5 stars walk into Miami and then they turn out to be 5th and 6th round draft picks just because they're still the same player that they were when they were freshmen.
Yeah, I mean, a couple examples off the top of my head. Tracy Howard, #1 quarterback in the country, class of 2013, undrafted. Played 3 years in the National Football League. Out, 5-star recruit. Chad Thomas, 5-star recruit, defensive end, 6'5", 250, comes here. Now, you can argue that Chad, his first 2 years, played in the 3-4, so he wasn't able to make plays. The latter 2 years, he played in the 4-3. He was able to make plays. He goes in the 3rd round, Mark, 75th overall in the 3rd round. One of the highest drafted Miami Hurricanes defensive linemen since Damian Lewis in 2004, Mark. That's how bad it had been at Miami. All right. Out the league in 3.5 years. Gone. Pew, out the door. He was drafted in the 18. He didn't even make it to the 2020 season. That's the kind of stuff, man, that we were dealing with. And that's our fault for not having the right coaching. If Chad Thomas is here and he plays in a 4-3 for forever, who knows what happens to him? But those are Duke Johnson. Duke was here. 5-star according to one. I always looked at him because I use ESPN. He was a 4-star, but according to 247 and Rivals, he's just 5-star, big time athlete, could play corner or running back, punt kick return specialist, running back. He comes here. You watch him come off the, running the ball for Miami, late 3rd round pick. Out the league in a couple years. All right. He didn't get a real grown man body until his last year. He was 190 pounds for 2 whole years at Miami. Mark, that doesn't even make sense. But if you have the right program, if he had a better offensive line, if we did a lot, it's about doing the things around them also. So it's not just elite recruiting, because then you'll be Tennessee and Texas, where you just got all these big time prospects, and everywhere you turn is 5-star, 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 but your culture's trash. Your program is not put together. And it can't just be the other way where you got this elite program. And guys are coming in and out. It looks really good. We're developing what we can, but we're only landing the 2 and 3-star recruits. So you got to be able, again, to put them together. And that's how you get your Georgias, your Bamas, your Ohio States. Hopefully your USCs. I'm definitely rooting for that to come back. I think that would be great for college football. And I think Oklahoma can kind of float for a little bit, but I foresee them to take a little bit of it, in my opinion, just for a little bit. But yeah, that's just what it is.
Yeah, we've got a super chat contribution coming in here from MDB. Says, can't forget our history of failed 5-stars. So Kyle Wright, Reggie Youngblood. Is that Lance Leggett?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't know how long ago this was on there, because I just went down on you need to have both. You got to have the culture. And yeah, you're right. You're right. 100%. You are correct. We've had some fall offs. We've had some falls.